One really quick example, Sabrina,
Yes,
I think you've
please.
seen a million times, is your child is getting an A in reading or language arts, and you know that they're having difficulty with reading. And you bring up the issue, well, I don't know how he got an A in reading when he can't do these various assignments or exercises, and he's always complaining that he can't understand things, and his comprehension is low and things like that. And then you ask the questions. So you're raising a question, why does he have such a high grade if he can't do all these things very well? And what interventions is he getting to address those issues? Or has there been an evaluation to see if he has a disability in those areas, or whether his disability is affecting him in those ways? So you can parse down by asking specific questions. You see something that raises an issue for you, like a high grade or a bad grade, ask questions about it. Why did he get a bad grade? Did he not turn in assignments? Try to get into what's actually going on. If he's getting a good grade and you think it's an area that he has problems with, how did he get such a great grade? I mean, we see that a lot. We say, well, he's getting great grades, so we don't have to address that issue. And the reality may be that they may be just giving him great grades without really tackling the specific issue that the child has. And that's going to come back and bite him later in his educational career, like in high school, perhaps, when the work gets harder and more complex and he's totally lost, and then other things can happen. So it's really important to stay on top of that and make sure that your questions are being responded to in a meaningful way.
So Phil, I'm so glad that you brought this up, because we get this a lot. To your point, my kid's getting an A in reading and they can't read. Are grades indicative of a child's potential or continued eligibility for special education services? How much weight do you give to grades? And is that a way that you could refuse or deny a child for special education?
Well, I would say no, but I'm sure that there would be people that might argue with me. But grades are subjective. And sometimes people get good grades just to move them along. I'm not against a child getting good grades, as long as they're having an issue with that particular skill area, that it's being addressed in other ways. So that's where your evaluation comes into play. That's where any diagnostic information that you get outside the school comes into play, because a good evaluation will reveal some of these issues and make recommendations as to how they can be addressed. So I would look beyond the grades, depending on the problem in the area. I mean, everything's handled a little bit differently, but I would look beyond the grades and into the skill areas, the actual abilities, because these are skills they have to advance, and especially as they get older.
Completely agree. And take the reading example. This is an area where I would say record your child reading and then email the recording to your district so you have a record of it. And then, to your point, Phil, make sure that you're pulling in experts where you can. Make sure that you are really understanding where your kid's at. In closing on this topic, if you feel strongly about something, if you have a concern that you just know in your gut, between the three of us, we've been doing this for 50, 60 years, something like that, maybe more. Something that I have found is that parents just know. If your gut is telling you something is off here, take a look. That should be a red flag to dig into what's going on. At a tactical level, like we talked about, make sure you're getting evaluations. If you don't know what it is, you should look into the word neuropsychological evaluation. Of course, there are many, many other different testings. We cannot talk about them in detail here. There's speech evaluations, there's occupational evaluations, physical evaluations, auditory, all kinds of evaluations. So we highly recommend you look into them. You make sure that your concerns and input are not just heard, but truly considered from a legal standpoint.
Right. There are two other sources of information that I wouldn't overlook. One is your own child.
Yes.
Who will come to you and say, hey, Mom, Dad, I'm having a lot of problems with reading. Here's my assignment. I don't understand what this means. I don't understand this word. What problems they're complaining about, listen to them, because they will tell you something. And then if you have a good teacher, they like to work with parents. Good teachers like to work with parents. They will identify some things, and they may want to talk with you about it outside the scope of the actual IEP meeting or the team. They might want to talk to you one-on-one about it and share their concerns. Make sure that, if possible, whenever possible, you try to foster a good relationship with the teacher
The only other thing I would add is, and we could talk for hours about goals, but I think it's really important for parents to read those goals, to understand them, and to really ask themselves, do they make sense? Are they measurable? Are they realistic? Are they something that you believe your child can attain? Or what I see quite often is, are they too easy? We want to be sure that our kids are being challenged and that we have high expectations for them. So really review the goals. And if you have questions, be sure and ask.
And the other question I would ask as well, is the goal something that I really want the school to focus on for my child? Is this something that really is a problem area? Because sometimes they'll write a goal that has no relationship to the child's actual needs.
Absolutely.
You know,
And is there something that you want them to be working on that they're saying they won't? That's a common problem too.
Great points. We could go on forever about these, but again, these are supposed to be quick hits, so this is perfect. This is perfect. I know we have a lot more questions to cover, so stay tuned. In the meantime, our network of amazing professionals in this area have put together different resources. We've put them all on breakingautism.com. You're welcome to follow us there, as well as on YouTube, where you can get the latest resources completely ungated, completely free. We don't follow you. We don't collect your information. This is purely a passion of ours, trying to help our children to get the appropriate education that they need. If you have questions, as always, you are welcome to reach out to us at info@breakingautism.com. If you heard words here today that didn't make sense to you, or there's something in your gut sparked, let that be a message and listen to it to research and learn more. So with that, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you soon.